little bit about his career path and also the company he's currently working for. There's a lot of overlap with marketing and ops, as well as so Ben can talk about what he does with the company Ibotta. I sent you all out an email with a link to it, so hopefully you did a little bit of research. And Ben's even going to ask you some clicker questions. So pull your clickers out and tune them into the right frequency so when we get there, you're ready to go.
Hello? Yeah.
Yep.
All right.
Good. Go.
So my name is Ben Donovan, and there are really three things to describe me that my friends would say is one, I'm from Boulder. I don't really know what that means. But the second is I play way too much soccer. Love it. Do it all the time. And the third is I listen to rap music. I definitely can't rap at all. I have no talent. But nonetheless, that actually kind of comes in full circle to the story here. So I went to college down in Florida, a small school called Eckerd College, right on the water. They take you out wakeboarding, water skiing, awesome time. I played soccer there for that team, and then when I finished, I always told myself that I wanted to play club lacrosse. So both my younger brothers, they played lacrosse. I always grew up watching them play. Always was envious about that experience, but I never could experience it because I was so committed to soccer. So when my college soccer career was over, I set out to start a club lacrosse team. So I hung up posters around school talking about kind of stereotypical lax bro type of things, and then really recruited a team. Got funding from the school, and then also negotiated about a sponsorship package with a local bar. So the team's still going live, and what I realized was that I really wanted to be involved in sports with my first job out of college. So I joined a kind of a small marketing agency here in Boulder, and we were on the Adidas team. Hey, what's up? He's my brother's friend. Small world. Anyways, back to it. Yep, so small agency. We're focused on consumer-facing events. So we were down at NBA All-Star Weekend, working with a series of different athletes. You have like Dwight Howard, Damian Lillard, pretty solid athletes. Everybody knows that the best athletes tend to go with Nike, but nonetheless, that was a pretty sweet experience. And also, I was working with a lot of rappers. So some of my favorites are Big Sean, ASAP Rocky, Wale's all right, and then B.O.B., who actually came to one of our parties in college. So that was a pretty sweet experience getting to work with him. So while that did seem like the dream job to me, there were a few hiccups. So this type of marketing, it really involves so few people. So budgets really kept getting cut on an annual basis. So everybody was just reinvesting these funds to spend on digital marketing because you had a larger reach. You could really engage a larger audience, and it's a much more cost-effective solution. So when I went down to Brazil for the World Cup, it really dawned on me that I really want to be involved in something that was bigger than what I was doing. So, I was going to move to Denver from Boulder. I didn't want to commute on 36. That traffic's a nightmare, especially to come to a company where the marketing is really just going down. So nonetheless, I really decided that I wanted to find some way to be involved in something that was on the rise. So when I came back, I had about 6 weeks until I was going to move to Denver. Didn't have a car, didn't want to buy a car, didn't want to commute. So I started talking to a lot of people in my network. Hello? Okay. So back to Ibotta. A good buddy of mine was on the team. He had a lot of really good things to say. He said he was completely on the rise. So I had a pretty big interview with them. My car tire popped on the way down to Denver. Completely panicked, changed the tire. We're outside of Flatiron Mall. Made it in, got the job accepted. And I really felt that I had made it. I was going to be involved in something that was big, that was on the rise. I was really part of a marketing type of initiative that was going to be important for many years to come. But what I didn't really know was kind of how big of a wave this would be. So since I started about a year and a half ago, we have quadrupled our size. So we were 50 people when I started. I was employee number 50. We're at over 200 people. We've raised over $75 million from outside investors to really go into this space, draw as many users as possible, and also just really build the company. We're about to move into our third office, and I'm pretty confident that we are the fastest growing startup in Denver. So nonetheless, also one other thing, we have a lot of beer offers on the app. So Anheuser-Busch, they work with Bud Light. They work with Budweiser. They're the ones who create that. They paid over $20 million just to make sure that we couldn't promote Coors Light on the app. So this is just a really good way to promote to the younger audience to drive these in-store sales. There are a few reasons why we're able to really grow. They're really with what's going on in the marketplace. You'll see that ads are viewed as completely interruptive and annoying, kind of like these two right here. Also, the marketplace is entirely based around impression-based marketing. So you don't really know who's on the other end of the line. Also, when you're investing in digital ads on different websites, you're not guaranteeing that a human is actually watching it. In fact, these websites are having these robots come in, really ramp up the impressions so they can charge all these different companies more money for generating more impressions. So you really have no way to determine how effective that type of marketing approach is really going to be in terms of actually driving verified sales. So imagine if Bud Light is running a Super Bowl ad, and instead of being charged based on the number of people that are actually watching it, they could be charged based on the number of people that watch it and go ahead and buy Bud Light, and that's something that we offer. Also, the couponing industry in general is pretty old and obsolete. That's our biggest competitor. So I just want to ask you guys here, which one of you have ever gone into a newspaper and actually cut out a coupon and used it at the grocery store? That's the clicker. Yeah. How do I do that? Okay. I did, yeah. I think it skipped over. So A for yes, that you've ever gone into a newspaper, cut it out, brought that to the grocery store, bought that item, and got that discount at the register. Oh, I can't? Okay. Sure. Okay. And the second question is, okay. Yeah, I do. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Just that one right now. Wow. All right. Well, you guys exceeded expectations. I hope that didn't include a Cosmos coupon. So nonetheless, that'll work. Okay. And then the second question is, how many of you think that your mom or dad have ever gone through that experience themselves? Okay. So that falls in line with what we were thinking. So what we're finding today is that coupons are becoming obsolete. So the younger audience, they're not going to go through this process, and they don't appeal to a younger audience similar to Hugh Hef and a few of his ladies right there. So nonetheless, obsolete. We're fighting this industry. It's a huge multi-billion-dollar industry. You have hundreds of billions of dollars associated with it. Also, over 100 years old. So we're really here to kind of disrupt this industry, really make things kind of more approachable to the younger audience such as yourselves, and really driving these in-store sales. So the millennial audience, they always have a phone in front of their face, so much so that it can be a little bit dangerous at times. So what I'm asking you guys to do here is download this app, and if you use this referral code right there, so 3 people are going to get a t-shirt and a branded charger for going through that experience. But nonetheless, as soon as you buy a product on this app, you're going to get $10 right into your Venmo account. So for those that are going to be watching this recording, I can certainly show you how to earn money. You won't win a shirt, but for people in this room, download the app. You go through this, you'll get some free stuff. So let me just show you how that works. Okay, so this is going to be pretty applicable to this weekend. So when you download this app, you're going to register. So you enter your name, age, gender, zip code, and email address. Is that popping up? I guess. That's quick time.
Hey, does anyone know how to switch the presentation modes on a Mac? I know on a PC it's Control T. Who uses a Mac for presentation? Anyone?
Okay.
It's not Control. Can you get out of your presentation?
Uh-huh.
So get out of your presentation
Where's the mouse?
and show.
All right. Thanks for your patience there. So when you download the app, you register entering your name, age, gender, zip code, and email address. And that's just information we share back to the brand in terms of who's buying these products, at which stores, at which state, based on which demographic features. So that's just really important information that we share back to them that they find to be very valuable for all their different marketing initiatives. So you're going to be navigated to what we call the home page. So you have a series of different categories. You have grocery, apparel, beer, wine, and spirits, what I was telling you about. So that's that partnership with Anheuser-Busch. The vast majority of our consumers are still going into grocery, but nonetheless, just given that the Super Bowl is this weekend, if you download the app, click on this section called the Big Game, and then what you're going to do is you're going to scroll down until you find a retailer where you're going to make your shopping trip at. So one thing with Ibotta is that we can work with all brands regardless of their distribution constraints. So let's say that they only have product available in King Soopers and Albertsons, but nowhere else. It's not, their offer is not going to show up in any other gallery. So that's the really comfortable thing with working with us, is that we can work with every brand regardless of where they have distribution based on what you see here and based on the fact that you go through that registration process by entering your zip code. So I'm going to click right here on King Soopers. I imagine if anybody here goes grocery shopping, that might be the most commonly used one. And then you have all of these offers that are specific to what we think you would buy when it comes to your Super Bowl purchases. So you look at all these offers and you click on one that you think is kind of appealing. So I'm going to click on Bud Light right here. And then it explains to the consumer really what it is that they're going to have to buy in order to earn this $4 in cash into their Venmo account. And I'll show you kind of how all of that works. Next thing you do, click on this pink bar, it says unlock $4 cash. So now this is the key differentiator on our platform that really no one else offers. So these are brand engagements. So this is a really good way to have this one-on-one conversation with the end consumer. And you can really do actually three things. You can present facts, you can have consumers watch video, and you can also ask them questions about their purchase behavior. So that's consumer insights. So you're learning more about who your consumer is, how you adjust your overall marketing strategy based on how these consumers are actually answering these questions. So this is all really beneficial information to the brand. So this question asks, if you plan to purchase Budweiser Family, which of these statements best describes your feelings about this offer? I was going to purchase Budweiser Family, whether it was an offer or not. So I'm going to say I only purchased this because there's an offer. Then ask another question, when is the last time you drank Budweiser? So you have all these other options that you can answer. So you have the past 7 days, 4 weeks, 3 months, more than 3 months. And then one thing that a lot of brands really want to determine with their marketing initiatives is the sales lift associated with that. So how many new consumers did they drive based on this type of promotion? So if a consumer selects never, this is my first time, the next thing they do is they click unlock. So now the important thing is that Anheuser-Busch, who create these products, they haven't paid Ibotta for that completed brand engagement, nor has this consumer actually earned that $4 just yet. So that's the real differentiator on our platform, is because we're not charging for impressions, we're not charging for any sort of data, we're not charging for consumer insights. All we're going to charge this brand for is whether this consumer goes to the store, buys the product at full MSRP, meaning that they're paying full shelf price. So when you use a coupon, you're getting some sort of a discount. So psychologically, you're devaluing that brand. So for example, if you're at Chipotle, you typically pay about $9 for a burrito. If you get that 50% off coupon, you're probably going to devalue that to about $4.50. So you think psychologically that that burrito is really worth that much. So there's a big psychological aspect when it comes to having consumers pay full MSRP. And I realized I lost you guys there for a second. So when this pops back up, there we go. So the next thing the consumer is going to do is they're going to go to the store, as I mentioned, buy the product. Nothing takes place at the register, so that's really good with our conversations with Walmart. They're really trying to push out all these different couponing initiatives. And then the consumer is going to go home and take a picture of their receipt. Scan the barcode, take a picture of the receipt, and that's when the consumer is going to earn this $4 in cash, and it'll be transferred into their Ibotta account. Apologies there. Within 24 hours. So you can transfer these earnings from your Ibotta account to your bank account through PayPal, or if you guys, let's say you guys love Starbucks, you can transfer these earnings straight through to Starbucks. But nonetheless, as soon as you redeem one offer, just given our initiative that we have here, you're automatically going to get $10. So that's why I encourage you guys this weekend, when you're making your Super Bowl related purchases, you should certainly consider using the app. One other engagement I'll show you is the use of video. So I'm going to select on King Soopers. So you scroll until you see another offer that's desirable. And it is right here. So consumer sees this, they click on the pink bar, and then now they're going to watch this 15-second video in order to unlock the offer. So one thing that brands are really trying to do is ensure that consumers are watching the video in its completion. So as I mentioned with other website type of marketing, you can't ensure that a consumer is actually watching that video because you have these robots that are generating all of these impressions. But with us, we guarantee you that a person is going to be watching this from start to finish, because if they try to exit out, they're going to receive this warning saying they have not completed watching this video. If they exit it now, they're not going to unlock the 50 cents. So I'm just going to keep watching. And what we do find is that our completion rate is at over 95%, which is something that's really unheard of in this industry, because consumers are consistently trying to exit out, but you're incentivizing them with money to watch this video. So that's why we're able to have a really good user experience where consumers are choosing to come to the platform and engage with brands in order to earn that extra cash back, as opposed to those annoying interruptive ads when you're listening to Pandora, etc. So that is how we are able to really kind of make a ripple effect in this industry. And there's really virtually no reason why a client wouldn't sign up with Ibotta. The big thing here is that what we hear from our prospective clients is our scale concern. So we are the scale leading app that uses mobile to drive in-store sales. We do have 14 million downloads, and that number is going to be increasing by 600,000 new downloads per month. But when it comes to a really smart client advocating Ibotta, and the fact that we're only charging brands for sales, not based on impressions, which is something everybody else does, your client needs to be pretty bold. They have to be pretty smart, and they also have to have a pretty good time advocating Ibotta. And so where, for example, the person that advocated Ibotta at Anheuser-Busch just got a huge promotion, and that was a $20+ million deal. And then, so this really is that market I was telling you about, which is using mobile to drive in-store sales. So back in 2007, when everybody launched the iPhone, everybody was thinking that m-commerce, which is making purchases on your phone online, was going to be the big market. But what we're still finding today is that these consumers are still going to the store and buying these products. So the big question is, how do you really capture this power of mobile that's always in front of this young millennial audience's face and drive and influence those in-store sales? So you'll see right here, what represents mobile influence in-store sales is in pink. So it's really significantly grown from 2012 to 2016. But what we're projecting is that, and this is from a third-party data source called Deloitte. Maybe you guys have heard of them. But nonetheless, we're going to find that roughly 85% of all these in-store sales by 2018 are going to be influenced by mobile at some sort of capacity. So that's why this marketplace is so interesting to us, and there's so much opportunity in it. We are the scale-leading app in here. We're by far #1. And our audience really fits what every brand is going after, which tends to be that millennial shopping mom. So still to date, we're finding that females are still making the purchase decisions on behalf of the entire family. So this really is our audience. 90% of our consumers are under 45, average age 29. 80% of our consumers have a child at home, so they're really young, and they're going to be making these purchase decisions for many years to come. We're promoting different offers on the platform that is most commonly found in front of this audience's face. So it's really ideal for these brands when it comes to driving that brand loyalty, because the millennial audience in general has been found to be somewhat loyal when they've been educated, when they've actually wanted to come in. And we actually prove out that loyalty with a series of different data offerings that we present to brands. And nonetheless, what's most interesting is that 60% of our consumers admittingly rarely or never use those coupons that you find in the newspaper. We're consistently ranked top 20 most frequently downloaded apps in the App Store's lifestyle category. We just migrated over to shopping. That's a pretty competitive space, but I would imagine we're top 20 right now. Consistently ranked top 150 on a daily basis, but nonetheless, we're spending about $3 million a month on generating new users and new consumers, and that's why we're able to kind of draw in all these bigger deals from all these different brands. So our key focus is really just growing our user base. So we're driving all these downloads. You'll see right here, this little pink area represents Series B financing. So that means that outside investors committed up to $20 million to help grow our business. And then you'll see right here, very recently in October, we had a $40 million Series C round of financing. We're valued at just shy of $500 million right now. But we're very closely on the verge of becoming valued at over $1 billion as a company. And our audience is only going to continue to grow. And brands are only going to continue to invest less money in these 100-year-old promotion tactics, FSIs, or what we call them. Those are those paper coupons. So, I mean, to my understanding, this class is entirely focused on how technology presents different job opportunities, different opportunities in the marketplace, and how it really disrupts these industries, similarly to what you'll find with Uber and taxis. So, and Venmo when it comes to nobody really goes to the ATM anymore. So nonetheless, this is really what we're focused on. We're really here to win. We're here to fight against these 100-year-old companies that have a lot of money, but nonetheless, we have a piece of technology that they don't offer, and that's why we're able to do what we do. So with that in mind, so there's supposed to be a slide that popped up mentioning something about summer internships. So if anybody is interested in a summer internship, let me know. I should have my contact information on there. Lori has it. So yeah, feel free to reach out. It's a really fun job. We're down in downtown Denver. Everybody's young, smart, ambitious. You know, a lot of big hitters that are coming in from all these other big-time companies wanting to ride this wave. So with that in mind, you know, certainly would like to open it up to any questions you guys may have, any thoughts. Also, curious to see who's going to get a T-shirt and a charger. So any questions? Yeah. Yeah, that's a good question. So it has to involve some sort of advertisement coming to the consumer. So if they in some way had their purchase decision influenced by some sort of mobile initiative, like you saw an ad on Facebook promoting some particular product and you go in that store and you buy that product as a result, that's really what it is. But also our key focus is actually driving those in-store sales by telling consumers, hey, you're going to earn $4 if you complete this brand engagement and buy this product. That's another way to influence that purchase behavior. Does that answer your question? Solid. Cool. Yeah, that's a good question. So I'm on the sales team, and so what my focus is are bringing brands on to this app. So similar pitch to what you guys saw here today in terms of what the benefits are for the client. So for a sales intern, you would be helping us find new consumers, also finding different initiatives that are going on in the marketplace, telling us, all right, you know, what are other competitors doing that we're not? So we give you guys a series of different projects, and based on my experience, so I've had a series of college internships, and in general, the type of stuff that we're having our interns do is much more useful and valuable in terms of your time as opposed to just kind of adjusting Excel spreadsheets. But college internship, I'm not belittling that at all. You know, do it. I highly recommend it. But this would just kind of give you more of an opportunity to really kind of think a little bit more outside of the box. We also have marketing internships. You'll be helping out with our social media initiatives, trying to draw in new consumers. And you kind of just provide that legwork that really helps out everybody here. And we've already hired a few of our interns from last summer, and the other ones, they just hadn't graduated yet. Any other questions on that? Solid. Okay. Anybody else? Well, mm-hmm. Yeah. So we have engineers that build the app, and they ensure that consumers are able to go through the experience in a pretty clear fashion and earn their cash back on the app. We also have a customer support team that addresses any time that there might be some sort of a hiccup or any time a consumer doesn't understand, you know, what process they need to go through, being, do they have to click on that pink bar? How do they take a picture of their receipt and upload it to Ibotta? Also, it's pretty exciting. So I mentioned that somebody walking in here is friends with my youngest brother. Both of my younger brothers, so I was telling you that played lacrosse, that I grew up watching them play. They both work at Ibotta on the customer support team. So I think my family's a little nervous. We put all our eggs in one basket. But nonetheless, so that's the customer support team. And then you have the marketing team. So what they're focused, there are two kind of branches within the marketing team. So one's focused on user acquisition, so getting consumers like you to download the app. How do we do that? We do that through Facebook, Pandora. We're going to start doing that on TV. So we're driving those downloads. And then the next question is, how do we really ramp up our business? So now that we have these consumers, how do we make sure that they're going to be buying these products? Because our business is entirely built around whether consumers are buying this product or not on the platform. So we only get paid when that consumer who unlocked that Anheuser-Busch deal goes in and buys that product. that's when Ibotta collects any sort of money. So what we're doing is we're trying to ensure that as many possible people are quote-unquote redeeming the offers, meaning that they're buying it, providing that proof of purchase. So that's the marketing team. Sales team, as I mentioned, we're solely focused on going after these brands, getting them on the app. And we fight that pretty big fight against FSI promotion because everybody touts their scale. So last year there were over 310 billion coupons being distributed. And those that kind of fell within the digital wheel wagon are around 2%. So we're really looking to grow that space. But also, of those that were redeemed, that accounts for 10% that's taking place in the marketplace. So what we're doing is we're trying to secure bigger budgets, get new brands on this app, and promoting to the younger millennial audience to drive those in-store sales because FSI promotion is really just becoming obsolete. I'm also trying to think about any other. We have a finance department. I think everybody knows what that is. I mean, just billing clients and ensuring that we're investing our money very properly. So as I mentioned, we just raised $40 million. We're going to be spending all 40 million of those proceeds to spend on marketing and acquire new users. So our finance team, they ensure that we're growing at a kind of a healthy rate. So we're still not profitable. We're spending way more money than what we're making because this marketplace that we're talking about here is so promising to where you really want to be the key app in this space. So similarly, I mean, I don't really use Lyft. I just use Uber. Uber was the first one that appealed to me. Maybe you guys use Lyft. I mean, it's Boulder. You guys kind of just walk around, so I don't know if you're using either. But I mean, when you're in the city, though, you definitely, I use Uber. So you want to be the first person in this space, and that's why we're spending so aggressively to acquire as many users and become the big player in this space. Freestanding insert. So those are those coupons that you'll find in your newspaper, which I can only imagine, what was it, 12% people have ever redeemed a single coupon. So, I mean, I bet very rarely a few of you are going to ever come across one of those again. But nonetheless, that's a big marketing tactic that's still being used to date. Anybody else? Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah. So what we do is we recommend a user reward that falls somewhere between 25 to 30% of the product shelf price. But our budget minimum for big brands is $50,000. But what we do is on every month, we invoice brands only for verified sales. So let's say that they don't even exceed a certain amount, then they're only going to be paying based on what's moved. They don't have any of these sunk costs, not saying, hey, you're committing, here's $50,000, move as many units as you can until we hit that. It's, all right, well, you only moved around $10,000 worth of product. I'm going to turn my campaign off, and that entirely works. Also, a lot of brands tend to have distribution, let's say, at select targets. So if you have maybe 1,500 targets that carry your small brand's product, what we do is our consumers turn on their geolocation services, so we tailor the app based on where they're opening it. And also, when they register, they enter their zip code. So we also tailor it based on what they enter as their zip code. So we only present these offers to consumers that can actually buy the product. So you're not just going to be kind of teased with, all right, well, I wanted that product, but it's definitely not in that store, and it's nowhere near me. So we tailor it to make sure that we can help small brands, big brands, all really kind of work on this platform. So that's kind of why you'll see over 300 offers being available in a single retailer gallery alone. Any other questions? Yep. We're at about 200 employees. Uh-huh. Yeah, good question. So the exciting thing here is that we knew that there was going to be a really big opportunity in this company. So right now we're about to move into our third office since I've started. So I started about a year and a half ago. I was employee something like 55, and we're at 200 people now. But when we go into this new office, because we're completely packed tight in this office that we moved into last October, we're going to be moving into a much larger office. We're going to be hiring about 250 people. Yeah, it's the fastest growing startup in Denver, if not one of them. And a lot of people kind of associate it as the Google of Denver, and there are a lot of companies that are kind of breathing down our neck, trying to talk about possibly buying us. And, we're really kind of trying to stay true to what we're doing right here, right now. But nonetheless, there's a big opportunity ahead. And every employee has some piece of equity. So that means that you have some part of ownership in the company. So they hand that over to you. And based on how much your company is worth, that's how much money you're going to collect. So that's kind of like a long-term savings account. So if you're like me, a millennial, that's just kind of money comes in, money goes out. That's my savings account, even though I'm starting to open up a savings account here. But so I mean that's really kind of the big picture plan, is because you're going to be able to make a lot of money because you have a piece of equity in that company, and we're estimating that it'll be about $50 a share. Your execution price, meaning that you pay Ibotta about $1.60, was what I was paying when I first joined. For those shares, however many there are, it all varies based on the employees. You take $1.60 versus $50, you're making that much money on a single share. Hey. Yeah. So you're saying that where do we most commonly see consumers along that path to purchase? Where do they tend to drop out in terms of they don't use the app anymore, or where they don't actually buy the product? Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good question. So what we do find is that on average, 24% of consumers that unlock the offer go ahead and actually buy it. So imagine that 100 people in this room unlocked a single offer. We would estimate that 24 people in here would buy it and upload their receipt. And then what we're able to do is we have a newly launched analytics department that goes out, because consumers, when they register, they enter their email address. We can email consumers and incentivize them like, hey, here's $5 if you complete this survey. So we saw that you unlocked the offer but didn't buy it. Brands can ask these consumers questions. So what was it that was the barrier to your purchase? Was it shelf space? Was it that you just completely forgot? Was the offer not rich enough? We ask all these different questions to really better understand the end consumer. And brands really have been taking us up on that offer, and we ask consumers questions for that extra $5 reward just to answer maybe 15 questions. So it takes no time, and you get $5. So that addresses all that concern. But what we most commonly find is that consumers just can't find it on the shelf. I mean, it varies by retailer, and you're not entirely sure where it's going to be. And also sometimes, that $1 isn't entirely worth me going up and down the aisle maybe 4 times. So that's probably the biggest barrier. Good question. Yep. Good question. Yeah, that's one that falls under return fraud. So the question is, after a consumer buys the product, they redeem the offer, take a picture of the receipt, and what happens when they return it? So my trained answer is that happens so we can randomly audit campaigns. So we get this transaction data from retailers, and we're able to determine how many of those that bought it actually returned it. And we find anywhere between 0 and 1.4% of the time that ever really happens. So, and also whenever we do find out that a consumer does that, we automatically lock their account. We claw back those funds, and then we also credit the brand for that return piece. So we're actively kind of try and find ways to address it. And also, we have all these other networks that really share with us it's like preemptive measures. It's kind of the way to say it. So let's say, 20-year-olds that are residing at the zip code on the hill are X% more likely to commit return fraud. We know that just based on this shared network with all these other platforms. Also, based on how their email address is laid out, if there's really no information on their email, they're that much more likely to kind of try to commit some sort of fraud on the platform. So that's a really big focus on our end, but that's a really thoughtful question. Yep. Yeah, another good question. So that's entirely determined by the brand. But what we recommend to the brand is somewhere between 25 and 30% of the product shelf price. So if it's a $1 product like a Coke, can of Coke, we'd recommend a 25-cent offer. And the offer has to be a multiple of 25 cents. But also, what's really cool is we can vary these offer values based on different people. So let's say that that Coca-Cola really wants to target you based on whatever demographic features you may have. We can present you with a 50-cent reward and one to somebody that's less important, maybe a 50-year-old female with a 25-cent reward. So that way we're incentivizing the right audience to buy this product, and we're able to drive those sales in a desired fashion. So we can tailor these offer values by retailer, by consumers based on their demographic. So whatever initiative that they have, we're able to accommodate that. But kind of just a big picture in relation to that question is brands are so focused on this impression-based marketing to where they don't want to waste their paid impressions on consumers that they don't think would buy their product. So they're really kind of closed-minded in terms of, I don't want to promote this to somebody I don't think is going to buy it. What we're doing is we're only charging brands for sales that actually take place. So it's not really a wasted impression because we're not charging for impressions. So that's something that we always try to fight. And when our clients try to limit our audience based on who they're trying to target as opposed to making it available to everybody, we hit them with a setup fee, and we also hit them with a larger cost per unit sold, all while trying to incentivize them to keep this offer available to as many possible people, because that way we're making the most money possible, because more people that buy the product, it's more money our company's going to make. That's a long answer. Yeah. Okay. Any other questions? Sure. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that has to be a relationship that's leveraged between the brand and the retailer. So when brands come to us, they ask us, do we have relationships with all these different retailers? And the good thing with I mean, this is not directly addressing it, but I will. And what we do is we can operate at any retailer out there for the most part. Vast majority. I mean, any big time retailer, they're going to be able to work on Ibotta, because a lot of these retailers, when you have that type of promotion, you have to have something taking place at the register. So it's kind of like, all right, I'm Coca-Cola and I want to drive sales at Whole Foods. I don't even know if Whole Foods carries Coke. I doubt it, but let's just imagine that that's the case. Or let's just say Target. So I want to drive sales at Target. I'm Coca-Cola. I need to arrange everything through my Target team to make sure that something can take place at the register with all their paid employees to go through this process. With Ibotta, nothing takes place at the register. So because of that, we eliminate any sort of concern of leveraging types of conversations. But nonetheless, what you're talking about, that's just a good way that retailers find consumers coming back to their store. That's just an incentive for them to drive, not particularly sales of those items, but just to get them back in the store. Yeah. Yep. Uh-huh. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. So that's an entirely different initiative. But nonetheless, yeah, you just buy the product in store and you take a pic. Doesn't matter what the store is offering. That's entirely up to them. But yeah, then you'll just get that discount and that same amount of cash back. But why I say full MSRP is because there's that psychological difference as opposed to a discount. But when I redeem maybe 4 offers on a single uploaded receipt, I'm getting about $8-9. I don't really know that, oh, $2 was from offer A, $1 from offer B. So I just get all this money and I don't really know where it's coming from. No, you can go through PayPal. Yeah, PayPal, Venmo, and then if you go to Starbucks, Best Buy, Amazon, you can transfer those earnings there as well pretty easily. So we make it a pretty enjoyable experience to use that money however you do see fit. Yep. Yes. So we work mostly with brands and agencies. So agencies handle all of those marketing initiatives for brands, and brands pay agencies to come up with some sort of marketing plan. So we can work with agencies, and what they do is they introduce us to a lot of different clients, and that's really beneficial to us. But also working with a brand direct also is really beneficial. But retailers, we do work with retailers, and that's a whole different revenue stream. So I can answer that. What we do is we can drive incremental trips to their stores if they exchange with us transaction data. So they share with us on a daily basis all of the transactions that take place at that retailer. So what we can do is we can measure our campaign's effectiveness. Okay, you had a random subset of consumers before a campaign, maybe 100 of them actually bought the product. During the campaign, you had 800 units moved. After the campaign, did you have maybe 200 units moved? Did you have a lift? How effective was that type of promotion in terms of driving those follow-on purchases? So in exchange for that type of information that we can share back to brands, what we do is we work with retailers, yeah. I keep giving long-winded answers. Yeah. At the company? Oh, I mean, it's fully equal. I mean, a lot of these people that are at the top, they all went to HBS, Harvard Business School, a lot of them. But I mean, nonetheless, it still is a startup. Everybody's in it together. They have a stake in the company, similarly to the fact that maybe the bottom employees have some piece of ownership in the company. The top level execs, they're very invested in everybody kind of being collectively involved in this process and kind of going against this industry to make this as big of an opportunity as it can be. Because at the end of the day, everybody wants to be part of something that's big, and also they want to make money doing it. So yeah, it's very, very equal. So I mean, I was a sales associate, so that's kind of like the bottom of the sales team. And I was always working with the COO who reports directly to the CEO. And he and I go to Broncos games together, despite the fact that I was a sales associate and he's a COO. So yeah, very equal environment, and they really do emphasize kind of building on you in terms of making you as valuable as you can be, because the more valuable you are, the more you contribute, the more money everybody makes.